Chapter: Change your grave to change your luck. The old man who passed away said his house was leaking rainwater and asked me to burn villa of it for a house. The old man's son smashed the paper house, saying I wanted to swindle money. When his business was in decline, he gave me thousands of eternal lamps and begged me for help. I looked at the new cloud over the grave. The person buried in this grave was not his father. Miss Tun, this is my father grave. The woman next to her seemed a little embarrassed, but her tone was still gentle. I covered the red umbrella and observed this land. Truly a good acupressure point. The view is clear, low in front and high in the back. In front of it there is flowing water, surrounded by trees and mountains. It is a good acupuncture point. The old man here is definitely at ease with his descendants. Perhaps these words spoke correctly to the woman's heart. Her face finally softened a bit. This grave was chosen by my father himself when he was still alive. I held the bundle of paper in front of the tombstone, preparing to burn it. Suddenly, looked at the tombstone in front of me. My hand matchstick turned off. I was about to turn around and ask. A black car stopped at the foot of the mountain, and a man wearing a suit stepped out of the car. As soon as I looked, I realized that he was the old man's son. His name was Lu Ton Fat. Lu Ton Fat almost turned 3 steps into 2 and walked in front of me. Who are you? Why did you come before my father? After asking me, he got angry at the woman next to him. Are you crazy? Why do all kinds of people get brought before a father like that? I said the words I just said to the woman again. I'm the owner of the paper human shop. Your father told me his house is in the rainwater facility, so he wants to reserve a villa for me. Now I'll go and burn a part first for him. As soon as I finished speaking, he immediately changed to another topic. His tone was very unkind. My father has passed away many years ago. Don't use his name to deceive me. Because in order to calm his mood, I tried to explain once more. Brother Lu, the reward your father gave me, there is no need for you to pay more. Lu Ton Fat chuckled, placing his hands on his waist. Burn. I'll just stay here and watch you burn. If you still ask me for a penny after burning, I'll warn the police immediately. Saying that, he stood there looking at me, confirming that I was a fraud. I looked at the tombstone to confirm again. It couldn't be burned today. I packed up the paper box and prepared to leave, conveniently explaining the situation to the couple. At that time I was ready to get burned, but seeing the date of birth and year, I felt a bit of a problem. I cannot tell others about my identity. If I do, I will be considered a mental patient and taken away. You can only change the way of speaking that a normal person can accept to solve the problem for him. Your father gave me a dream, saying that the house we lived in was flooded by rain. But I found your father's house by the river, far away from the water, so it basically couldn't be flooded. The way I spoke was very relaxing. In fact, the old man I saw was completely soaked, as if his whole body was submerged in water. Miss Tun, this is my father grave. The woman next to her seemed a little embarrassed, but her tone was still gentle. I covered the red umbrella and observed this land. Truly a good acupressure point. The view is clear, low in front and high in the back. In front of it there is flowing water, surrounded by trees and mountains. It is a good acupuncture point. The old man here is definitely at ease with his descendants. Perhaps these words spoke correctly to the woman's heart. Her face finally softened a bit. This grave was chosen by my father himself when he was still alive. I held the bundle of paper in front of the tombstone, preparing to burn it. Suddenly, looked at the tombstone in front of me. My hand matchstick turned off. I was about to turn around and ask. A black car stopped at the foot of the mountain, and a man wearing a suit stepped out of the car. As soon as I looked, I realized that he was the old man's son. His name was Lu Ton Fat. Lu Ton Fat almost turned 3 steps into 2 and walked in front of me. Who are you? Why did you come before my father? After asking me, he got angry at the woman next to him. Are you crazy? Why do all kinds of people get brought before a father like that? I said the words I just said to the woman again. I'm the owner of the paper human shop. Your father told me his house is in the rainwater facility, so he wants to reserve a villa for me. Now I'll go and burn a part first for him. As soon as I finished speaking, he immediately changed to another topic. His tone was very unkind. My father has passed away many years ago. Don't use his name to deceive me. Because in order to calm his mood, I tried to explain once more. Brother Lu, the reward your father gave me, there is no need for you to pay more. Lu Ton Fat chuckled, placing his hands on his waist. Burn. I'll just stay here and watch you burn. If you still ask me for a penny after burning, I'll warn the police immediately. Saying that, he stood there looking at me, confirming that I was a fraud. I looked at the tombstone to confirm again, it couldn't be burned today. I packed up the paper box and prepared to leave, conveniently explaining the situation to the couple. At that time I was ready to get burned, but seeing the date of birth and year I felt a bit of a problem. I cannot tell others about my identity. If I do, I will be considered a mental patient and taken away. You can only change the way of speaking that a normal person can accept to solve the problem for him. Your father gave me a dream, saying that the house we lived in was flooded by rain. But I found your father's house by the river, far away from the water, so it basically couldn't be flooded. The way I spoke was very relaxing. In fact, the old man I saw was completely soaked, as if his whole body was submerged in water. My paper human shop only does business with the deceased. Because what I need is not money, but merit. When I was a child, I had a car accident and my father died on the spot. Grandfather saw that I was barely breathing my last breath and sealed my soul into paper using the secret art of Mao Shan. I'm not human, I'm not a ghost, I'm no different from a demon who has become a star. People live in this world, doing good deeds, being good people. The more merit they accumulate, the longer they can live. On the contrary, evildoers will damage their merits. Even though they won't be able to see the difference for a while, they still have a notebook in their hand. I have no basis and can only rely on the merits of others to temporarily exist in the human world. Ghosts in the underworld can borrow the short period of clouds covering the moon on the 15th day of every month to have some fresh air for a while. The day old man Lu entered the store, his whole body was soaked from top to bottom. I thought it was water, but I didn't expect him to say it was raining at home. When Mr. Lao Lu was alive, he liked to do good deeds, treated people gently, and was full of merit. That's why it's so generous of you to exchange a villa with me. I'm not his relative. If he burned it normally, he wouldn't be accepted. I could only come first and burn a portion for him. At that time, there was a dispute with Lu Ton Fat and his wife. This job was temporarily unsuccessful, so I had to leave a message to old man Lu. He can find me, but I can't find him. Returning to the paper shop, I bloomed 3 sticks of incense. Whisper said, Mr. Lu, today I went to your house and found something unexpected. Ho Ghost doesn't know about the underworld. I don't think you know what happened either. If you have a chance, Mr. You should still tell Mr. Lu in the dream yourself. I have accepted your merit, but I will not accept it. When Mr. Lu finishes repairing the cemetery for you, I will come first and burn the things for you at the same price. Putting incense in the incense bowl, watching the white smoke fly straight to the ground, he must have heard what I said. A month later, I continue to welcome my spirit into paper selection shop. My body suddenly radiated the yellow light of merit. The yellow light was too strong, causing the soul to immediately run away and disappear. I was about to burn incense and find a death god to ask who had given me so much merit, when a sad voice rang out in my head. Miss Tun, please appear and help one of our families. That voice became clearer and clearer. There is no clear voice, it should be like at the beginning but shows the image. Lu Ton Fat's wife Vong Phuong Mai was kneeling on the cushion, holding the long lamp in her hand and placing it on the altar. She is just right. It's when we have eyes that can't see the mountain, waiting for her. If she can hear my request, please come and save our whole family. I have realized that the merit in my body comes from the eternal lamp. I counted the numbers, but I didn't expect there to be less light. My mental ears can hear the voice in the head, but the image still appears. This is the power of prayer. She borrowed a long lamp to establish contact with me, praying sincerely that I could hear her voice, like a god with a believer. Looks like the thing I was worried about finally happened. Originally, I didn't want to talk about how much money there was, but helping the Lu family wouldn't be repaying all the kindness that old man Lu gave me. Moreover, this story of the Lu family has many benefits, which is another plan. I help them, also to contribute merit to myself. I used a paper crane to send a letter, asking the Lu family to meet at old Lu's house. Noon is the time when positive sun the day. I'm a paper person and can't stand the yang energy, so every time I go out I have to cover myself with a red umbrella to absorb the yang energy for me. Waiting until the sound of old man Lu was heard, the Lu couple had been waiting there for a long time. What is special is this state of Lu Ton Fat. A month ago he still had a big belly and had the quick-witted face of a businessman, but now he was like a perch plant quickly, huddled in a wheelchair, his eyes looking straight ahead. In the distance, there were two strong men standing there, like Lu Ton Fat's wheelchair gently climbing up the mountain. Besides, there are still two doctors carrying wounded, ready to save at any time. I thought something would happen to him, but I didn't expect it would be like this. Mr. Lu is. Before he could finish speaking, Vong Phuong Mai spoke up. Miss Tun, please save my house. Since the last time we met, something happened at our house. First, my son kicked a ball and fell on his leg, then something happened at my husband's construction site. In the construction site, a lot of snakes appeared from nowhere, and several workers were injured. Many people saw snakes so they did not go straight to work, so the construction site was stopped. I listened to her talk while walking around a section a few times. Is there more? Say one word and it will be over. Don't leave out any details. Vong Phuong Mai nodded and continued speaking. And it's my husband, he. She cried and didn't continue, so I added to her, Mr. Lu didn't listen to me. Not only did he wear white, he even wore red flowers in his underwear, right? Vong Phuong Mai's face appeared shocked for a moment, then became peaceful. Surely she no longer found anything strange about my strength. I went up to observe Lu Ton Fat. He seemed to have lost his soul, sitting limply in the wheelchair. I held my hand in front of him, and the child didn't move. Why did he become like this?
Vong Phuong Mai's voice trembled.
He said he was going to some party. It was someone from the hotel who called me to say he was a party animal. When I saw him at the hospital, he was like this. After a comprehensive examination, the doctor couldn't say what the problem was, he just told us to rest first. Miss Sun, what's wrong with him? I took the bowl out of my bag, cut the paper into a small figure, and burned it inside the bowl. I didn't predict it, he was the one who took over a soul to end the sleep.
Vong Phuong Mai immediately panicked.
What? Sound results. I signaled her not to talk. He took the Paperman, burned it, and placed it on Lu Ton Fat. What happened in the end remains for him to say for himself. The Paperman burned extremely slowly, the flame rose like a fire, the module vibrated with the wind, catching fire in Lu Ton Fat's warehouse. His beard was on fire, gradually creeping red. Vong Phuong Mai cried, but knew I wouldn't harm them, so she just covered her mouth and didn't make a sound. Not long after, Trong Lu Ton Fat burned into a piece of meat. The blood got bigger and bigger, and finally it broke. A feeling of falling onto the paper. There was a hissing sound and the fire went out. At the same time, Lu Ton Fat is like a dying dragonfly suddenly breathing fresh air, gasping for air.
Vong Phuong Mai came running.
Brother, you're out. Ms. Tun, you are so good. I ended up long. I just used the fat on his body to drip onto paper, and at the same time made an internal image to replace him. I temporarily found one of his souls. As time passes, the internal image will lose its effectiveness, brother. I will still return to the original style. Lu Ton Fat's dull eyes gradually became brighter. He looked around, then asked Vong Phuong Mai, You are? When he saw me, he immediately fell silent. I was stunned for a long time, like I was a little embarrassed. Miss Tun, I was stupid before. I still need you to handle the housework. Before. I was sorry for you, I'm sorry. Lu Ton Fat's attitude is very sincere, I don't care about details. Miss Vong has given so many long-lasting lamps. If I have enough merit, I will help. When I am awake, I will try my best to tell you what caused your coma so that I can help you solve it. Lu Ton Fat glared at the memory. Today I received an invitation to attend an award ceremony organized by the trade organization Ho Chi Minh City Chamber of Commerce. When I received the solution, I immediately felt at ease. Vong Phuong Mai urgently asked, Didn't you wear a white shirt when you left? Why did you wear a white suit when you went to the hospital? Lu Ton Fat's face is braided. Not long after he arrived at the hall, a staff member served drinks on him, but the award ceremony was about to start and he did not change his shirt, so he only accepted a shirt from a hotel manager to wear for a while. Vong Phuong Mai pretended to be angry with him. I didn't let you wear a white shirt, right?
Lu Ton Fat frowned.
At that time, I was busy accepting awards, and the person serving drinks placed a dark red square scarf on my costume. I thought it wasn't completely white, so found the source of the problem. Mr. Liu, recently you have been suffering from a lack of energy in your body. There are evil peach blossoms in your red and purple hair. Wearing white clothes will make your aura weaker. With a white shirt and a rose-colored scarf, it is a red flower. Footnotes before ending. When a living person gets married, they wear a red shirt with red flowers, and when they end their marriage with a dead person, they wear a white shirt with red flowers. Going up to collect the award, the light on the stage will create a brilliant light, illuminating his 3 soulful songs. Wearing a white shirt and red flowers, friends and guests all welcomed and congratulated you. Your ghost bride will steal a piece of your soul. Vong Fuang Mai forgot to cry and unconsciously cried. Lu Ton Fat's face was completely pale, his whole body was running. Miss Tun, Master Tun, how should this matter be resolved, what should we do? I gently comforted him. This is easy to solve. To end the marriage, you need 8 characters. Your 8 characters are definitely in the ashes or in the coffin of the female ghost. Find the red paper with your 8 characters written on it and burn it. It will be okay. You are the one who planned this matter. Have you had revenge on anyone recently? When Lu Ton Fat and Vong Fuang Mai heard that it could be resolved, their faces became much better and they began to remember the people around them. Normally, I treat my subordinates quite comfortably. I have never exploited a worker. There have been no results with anyone. Saying that, Vong Fuang Mai seemed to think of something. Miss Tun, last time you said something happened to my father-in-law's plot. I don't know if that was the cause or not. After speaking, her eyes flashed a few times, a bit unnaturally. Actually, I saw you the day you flew down the mountain. I knew you weren't a normal person. I believed your words, so as soon as something happened at the construction site, I hid myself and went to find some feng shui masters to come and see the sound. My track. Some people in their group all said that the feng shui of that house has been developed, and the method of banging gongs and drums is done, but it basically has no effect at all. After that, my son said he went out to the campfire with his friends and couldn't find him home before 12 o'clock. Then he realized he had covered his leg because he fell from a tree. I called Vong Fuang Mai to come and drink water from the stream partly below. Is it sweet or bitter? Even though Vong Fuang Mai didn't like it, she still took a sip. Extremely sweet. Going back to the grave, I took back Tuen Ton's paper, tore a piece of it, and threw it over the steel. Gently, gently, the bay swayed and fell to the ground. The bud tree is green, the water is sweet, there is no evil energy or bad wind in front of me. Gas accumulation in this place is not detected. Vong Fuang Mai did not understand. Miss Tun, last time you said that this grave was chosen very well, it will bless the future generations. The qi nourishment of this grave was not destroyed, so why is our family so unlucky? I looked at Lu Ton Fat. Because the person buried in this capital is not your father. No way. Lu Ton Fat Fuel became angry. It was I who carried my father's bones and buried them with my own hands. How could it not be my father? I pointed to the red banknotes on one side. In the weeds behind the tombstone there are red banknotes. Burial is a funeral, you must pay with white banknotes. Leaving a house is like moving house, you must pay with red banknotes. Therefore, this tomb must have been touched by the user. I actually only took out the trash once because I could sense the people buried in the ground. On Old Man Lu's tombstone, the dates of birth and death were written. He was buried here for 5 years, but at one time the core had been dead for 7 years. Lu Ton Fat was so angry that he was in a wheelchair. What kind of cruel person is this? I have to dig up my father's grave so I can see who it is. I will definitely not forgive him. I told them what I thought in my heart. Mr. Liu, do you have friends or relatives who were initially extremely unlucky and suddenly became lucky this year, or even became rich overnight? Lu Ton Fat tried to think. I actually work at a construction site, so there are so many people I know, I almost can't remember. I thought again. This person is familiar with my family and knows my father's location. You need to pay attention to the burial time of this beautiful grave. If you dig up trash, you will be guilty of wearing armor. At least we must know the time of your father's death and burial. It takes at least 3 years for a corner to nurture energy and hide future generations. Time needs to be chosen, especially when leaving someone far away, leaving your home again, choosing the last day, and waiting for the land to dry on a pink wind. at least 10 days. This person knows your schedule, and can even control your schedule. At least for these 10 days, the two of you are not at home. I zoomed out and showed the time again. Lu Ton Fat's eyebrows relaxed slightly, then suddenly he understood. Every year I take my children and Phuong Mai on a trip abroad. I just went 6 months ago for about 2 weeks. Tourist destinations, airline tickets and hotels are all Secretary's. It can't be Secretary Chow. Secretary Chow has been following me for 2 years, with no signs of bad luck, nor did he find wealth overnight. Moreover, when we go on a trip, she also goes along. Besides Secretary Chow, I really can't think of anyone who knows my exact schedule. Vong Phuong Mai didn't think it was too much and sharpened her lips. If it's not Secretary Chow, who else could it be? She knows Dad's location, she also prepares a device for her annual worship, but she can control your entire schedule too. It's come to this and you're still protecting her. Lu Ton Fat also became angry. You are her boss, if you are good then she can be better, if you go bankrupt or die then she will also be unemployed. What good will it do her if she harms you?
Vong Phuong Mai bluset angrily.
Said there was no need for her to cooperate with someone else to scheme against you. Lu Ton Fat is not willing to be weak. I said no. Chu Chow is extremely loyal to you, she can't do that. Vong Phuong Mai was so angry that he didn't want to let it go. Lu Ton Fat lost face in front of me and spoke loudly. No more arguing. Seeing that Lu Ton Fat was really angry, Vong Phuong Mai immediately fell silent. Lu Ton Fat took a few breaths and turned to me. Miss Tun, can we solve this problem directly? Wait until I'm well and then we'll find out who it is. Do you know the art of fortune-telling, or how to predict fate and figure out who it is? I shook my head. I studied Maoshan technique, I'm not proficient in fortune-telling. Furthermore, even if I calculate it, you can't go to the police. If you say I did fortune-telling, the police will consider you mentally ill and arrest you. Even though I can go through the devil gods don't care about human affairs, even if I asked they wouldn't tell me.
Vong Phuong Mai burst into tears.
So what should we do? Let's just rest assured that we're this unlucky. I think ahead and think later, have a plan. Since I have accepted the merit, I will not stand by and watch. If we have someone suspicious, then the next work must be hidden from us and not let her find out. Lu Ton Fat wanted to say something, but under my eyes, he said nothing. Ms. Vong, you call Secretary Chow first, just say that you will help her go to another area to contact some good hospitals, she wants to transfer Mr. Lu to the hospital. Vong Phuong Mai immediately agreed, then called Secretary Chow. She finished calling and breathed a sigh of relief. Secretary Chow said she will book tickets now and leave tomorrow. I took out the incense bowl and placed it in the east. Activate 3 incense sticks there. In the mirror of God, the gods are clear, in the mirror of death, everything is over, there is no cavalry. I put incense in the bowl. The blue wave rang out, nothing happened, quietly burned out. I move east. Thank you. Put away the incense bowl, I turned around and said to the couple. After confirming that Secretary Chow has left, find a few people to come and avoid relationships related to her. Tonight we dig graves. The worker weighed the shovel with some effort. Sister, this grave digging thing involves wearing armor, have you guys looked for the Yin and Yang master to see? Vong Phuong Mai was a bit scared, after all, digging a grave in the middle of the night, just thinking about it is a scary thing. I've already found someone to watch, just keep digging, there's no problem. For workers held shovels and crowbars without distinction. We've done a lot of this type of transfer, but no one digs one up in the middle of the night. Besides, you should at least have a yin-yang teacher around to check the time. Just dig and dig out the thing. Are some of us guys just unlucky? Vong Phuong Mai had a hard time dealing with me. I was helpless, I could only take out some red banknotes. All work is over, there is no cavalry. Waste your cherry, I am the yin and yang master. People looked at each other, hesitant. Perhaps Vong Phuong Mai set a high price, perhaps because they didn't want to leave without a trip, so they regretted it and finally started breaking ground.
Vong Phuong Mai shed tears.
Dua Lu Ton Fat has recovered his stupid state. Miss Tun, can you use the method from this morning to wake him up? I refused her request. People have 3 souls and 7 beats. If they lack 1 soul, they will be angry. If they lack one soul, they will be stupid. In fact, many people lose consciousness because they lack a soul. But physical injury will force the soul back to have a chance. But people like this will usually be very carefully protected by their families, so there will be no mechanical work injuries, so the soul will vibrate outside if there is no way to return. This can also explain why some foolish people fall and recover, or blind people who have an accident can see again. But Mr. Liu is not like that. One of his souls has been lost. Even if I use Tukmao Mountain as a replacement, when I find out, the soul will still fly away. Wait until the forbidden day. Call again, he can stay a little longer. Vong Fuang Mai was a little disappointed, relaxed and looked at the workers digging the grave, and was able to talk to me. Miss Tun, is what he is seeing now making my father-in-law relax? Of course not. Old man Liu is a very gentle and kind person. The house was dug up, the good feng shui movement was destroyed, everything was not going well for the two of them, but it was not bad luck. All the two people you meet are the ones who caused it. Vong Fuang Mai transferred all opinions into my words. Who is so cruel? I comfort her. If my prediction is wrong, this can be converted into the sound of the father-in-law not being cremated. It's still one piece. There are also differences between burial of bones and burial of ashes. The yin and yang master who helps the other person is extremely unprofessional. He knows the time and method, but doesn't know the small details. Normally when buried, the head is facing up and the feet are facing down. But this mountain is a place of steepness, not a place of technical degree. This has created a distorted state, which is not beneficial for fortune. Surely the person who changed the grave also realized that even though the grave was changed, my luck was only a little good, and I didn't get rich immediately, so I took action to deal with the two people. But I can't figure it out. That person clearly expected the feng shui to gather energy. Why did he want to attack your family? That's why I asked if you two have taken revenge on anyone recently. Vong Fuang Mai remained silent, trying to regret recent years. Daoku. Workers shouted loudly. I was about to pass, but Vong Fuang Mai expressed fear and took a few steps back. She looked at me with scared eyes, like she was asking me if she might not make it. You stay here with Mr. Liu, I can go by myself. But Vong Fuang Mai blinked a few times, as if she had made up her mind. It's okay, I'll come over with you. She is constantly salivating, thus forcing the left-sided mode to take off the lever through such salivation activity. I asked the workers to lift the coffin up, then dig it down further. Even though the workers didn't understand what I wanted to do, the coffin had already been dug, so digging a little more soil didn't count. Digging down another meter, I told the worker to stop, took the talisman I wrote before and threw it into the tank. Perhaps there were a few strong men nearby, and nothing happened, so Vong Fuang Mai was more courageous. Miss Tun, is this okay? I shook my head and immediately told the other workers. I have to wait until morning to open the coffin. Those who are willing to stay will have their wages doubled, but those born in the year of the rooster and dog will not be able to stay. The four people appeared to be of different ages, so please stay and help open the coffin. I told the two people inside to rest, and the other two followed me. Carry Mr. Liu up and place him in the center of the grave. The two workers looked at Vong Fuang Mai in surprise. Although Vong Fuang Mai was puzzled, he did not ask anything and nodded in permission. This girl, we only do physical work, we can't do this job of being buried alive. That's right, that's right. You two really shouldn't make me laugh. I don't want to bury him alive. He is sick. Putting him in the yin energy pulse point will help him recover. They often do this kind of work and have encountered too many strange things. Hearing that I didn't want to be buried alive, a few people followed suit and soaked Luton fat in the tank. Time passed by second by minute. When the sky was about to turn blue, there was a sound of fear in the pool. I told Vong Fuang Mai that yin energy can also temporarily prolong a soul to the body. Vong Fuang Mai happily looked outside. The golden sunlight came to see. Luton fat woke up and saw himself lying in the tomb, so he thought he was dead. The worker immediately pulled Luton fat's limp limbs out of the pool. I looked at the gently increasing vibrations on the grass, turned around and sat on the wheelchair that Luton fat had just sat in. Pushed the wheelchair next to Luton fat. Mr. Liu, don't you mind if I sit in your wheelchair? Luton fat gradually regained stability, moved his limbs, and stood up with Vong Fuang Mai supporting him. It's okay, just sit down. The sun will rise, the grass on the ground will melt. Even though the Mauchon technique makes me look normal, I'm still a paper person and can't Gmail water. At the first rays of sunlight on the coffin, I signaled the workers to open the coffin. The wooden coffin was opened, and the workers fell limp. There was no stench as expected, there was only one set of bones in the coffin. From the pattern and style of the shroud worn on the body, it is definitely a man. Lu Tonfat saw with his own eyes that someone else had dug up a part of his father's body and immediately became angry. He rushes in front of the coffin you want. But the coffin was too heavy, he couldn't make it one day. Immediately after that is given in the document just enough. Come here with fire, I want to burn this down. Mr. Lu, this job is not good. I quickly called him back. The dead cannot be ignored, this cruelty is done by his descendants, it has nothing to do with him. If you conveniently handle his plot like this, you will have to suffer the consequences, harming your dignity. Moreover, in this day and age, it's a law-governed society. If you do that, you're insulting the remains of the dead. Lu Tonfat continuously and angrily looked at me. I don't know where my father's ashes are, but this person is enjoying the blessing, I really can't handle this anger. It's okay, just expose this core to the sunlight for 3 days, and the wind that accumulates on his body will dissipate. By the time the algorithm responds, this person will be extremely unlucky. You just need to pay attention to who is unlucky, then find me. The words were still unclear when suddenly there was a wind in the middle of the forest and mountains. In the empty tomb, a whirlwind is easily seen emerging. My expression changed. Not good, the instruments in these acupuncture points are arranged. I turned to the workers. I just said that people born in the year of the rooster and those born in the year of the dog cannot stay, why are you lying? The strange sight made people scared. A worker's face turned white and he sat on the ground. My family still has 5 children to raise, I just want to make a little more money. I thought you were trying to be mysterious, but I didn't expect it to end up like this. Lu Tonfat and Vong Fuangmai expressed their inner feelings and became tense. Miss Sun, like this, what will it be like? I took the yellow paper and started cutting it. The calm chicken, the black dog, not only detects the qi generated at the acupuncture points, but also serves as a peaceful support for the deceased. I'm afraid it will arrange that person to do difficult things. I quickly cut out 5 pieces of paper and gave them to 5 people except Lu Tonfat. Cut off the middle finger, use blood to draw eyes and nose on paper. Then put it in a bag near the mattress cage. The person who was threatened turned white and did not object but immediately followed.